One person is dead and 48 other people are injured after Israeli forces fired warning shots in the area of an aid station in Gaza.
Frankly, these these images are heartbreaking, to say the least.
The incident began after the crowd broke through a fence at a distribution site. So this aid station, it was set up by a U.S.-backed foundation that only began operating Monday. This foundation is called the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, and it has drawn criticism from many organizations like the United Nations. For a closer look at what this foundation is, I'm joined by Shayna Lowe, Communication Advisor for the Norwegian Refugee Council, and she joins us from Amman, Jordan this morning. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Lindsay.
A lot of questions around the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. What do we know about this foundation?
Well, there isn't a lot that we know about. We do know that at least one Israeli official has indicated that the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation is a joint U.S.-Israeli enterprise. That was said by the Israeli ambassador to the U.S. just last week. But there hasn't been a lot of transparency. The methodology by which and the scheme by which the foundation has proposed to work and attempt to deliver goods, limited goods, to Palestinians in Gaza is one that we firmly believe does not adhere to international humanitarian principles. And it's not just the UN and the humanitarian sector who are saying that. Just this past weekend, we saw that the man who'd been hired to lead the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation resigned, saying that there was no way that this plan could work and adhere to humanitarian principles such as impartiality, independence, and neutrality.
We know, Shayna, that the humanitarian situation on the ground in Gaza is dire. I mean, the latest food security report showed 1 in 5 people in Gaza are starving. For nearly 3 months, Israel had this blockade, right, on aid coming into Gaza. And then they approved this Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, let them in. Why is this form of aid distribution allowed? Why are they allowing this foundation in?
Well, we think it's because it's hard for us to know because, as I said, it's not entirely clear who these people are and who's behind it. But it seems that this scheme is meant to help contribute to Israel's military and political goals, which they've been explicit about, displacing Palestinians from parts of Gaza, if not all of Gaza. And by setting up these hubs in a handful of static locations, it will force Palestinians who are in desperate need, who literally are starving. We see the images coming out of Gaza every day. We hear the reports of children and the infirm dying from malnutrition. And so people are desperate, but they'll have to move, in some cases, tens of kilometers in order to access aid. And as humanitarians, our role is to reach people wherever they are and give them the aid that they need in order to survive.
Because what will this mean for people who have to travel those distances or perhaps can't travel those distances?
Well, it means that for people who can travel those distances, it's very unlikely that they would want to travel back home once a week with a 20-kilo package of aid. And so this, we feel, would contribute to the ongoing and continuous displacement that Palestinians in Gaza have faced for the last 20 months. On top of that, there are a number of vulnerable people who would be excluded from such a scheme, people who cannot walk those long distances, the elderly, the disabled, and of course we've seen the tremendous number of amputees in Gaza over the last 18, 19, 20 months. People who are pregnant, people who have single parent households where they can't leave their children behind. And so we know that this aid is not enough. It can't even really be called aid, that these food distributions will not be enough and do not provide the services that Palestinians in Gaza so desperately need for their survival.
Shayna, you have staff in Gaza. What are they telling you?
Every day, it just gets worse and worse. They cannot believe the nightmare that they have been living for the last year and a half. Colleagues just this week were telling us about seeing the real physical impacts of people who are starving, people whose hair is falling out, people who are too tired to move, to leave the house, to look for food, people whose teeth are rotting because of malnutrition. It's really a remarkable situation where conditions just continue to deteriorate. And we have a medical system that has essentially collapsed and is unable to provide the necessary assistance that people need.
It's just heartbreaking watching these images. Shayna Lowe, thank you for your time this morning. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
If you like that video, make sure to subscribe to the Your Morning YouTube feed, where you can find all kinds of new content posted every weekday morning.